where each week we present two of the nation's outstanding bowling stars in match game competition. $1,000, 3 games. Total pins will decide the winner. This is Fred Wolf speaking to you from the beautiful Coliseum Lanes here in Coral Gables, Florida. And we bring to you for his 5th consecutive appearance from St. Louis, who now, let's see, he's won $4,800, Steve Nagy. Steve? Steve, we're figuring your average also for the 12 games. You're averaging, I believe it's about 218.
218.
You've won 11 of 12 games.
Right.
Haven't had too much competition for you, have we?
Well, not exactly. But got a pretty good fellow I see here today.
Yeah, he just came in the back door. I think he's going to keep you pretty busy. Let's bring him out here from St. Louis, Buzz Fazio. Hello, Mother.
Hi, Freddie.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
You got to do something with this big fella. You're going to have to give a few pounds, I'll tell you that. But as they say, you have 2 arms, 2 legs. That's all he's got. So we've got to send him back to St. Louis. His winnings are around $4,800, and he's averaging 218. Can you handle that?
Well, if that bowling ball starts to work, maybe I'll get close.
All right, Buzz, I'll go over the rules briefly. I know you're acquainted with them in previous appearances here on Championship Bowling. $1,000, 3 games, total pins. That will decide the winner and who will be here next week. In addition to that, $50 to the winner of the first game, $75 to the winner of the second, $100 to the winner of the third, and in addition to that, should either or both of you find gentlemen roll a 300 score, 12 strikes, 1 game, you know how that figures out, $10,000. Can you handle that?
We could use it.
You could use it. There's been a flip of the coin here for starting alley, and who won that toss?
I won the toss.
Well, we're starting.
On 23.
You want to start 23, first game, third game. Steve, you will start in alley 23, the second game. Gentlemen, ABC rules prevail. This is competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. A handshake, a Coral Gable welcome. We're ready to go for game number 1.
Buzz Fazio won the toss, elected to start on the left side, and that seems to be the pattern. The boy that wins the toss prefers to finish on alley 24, which we refer to as the right side. Coral Gables, Florida Championship Bowling. Fazio is there. He does not carry the 7-pin on a good hit. Both of these lanes here at the Coliseum Lanes in Coral Gables have been completely resurfaced to real match game conditions, all to ABC specifications, the competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. There are no ball tracks here. The boys have got to make their own. They're perfectly flat. He has the spare in the first frame, and here is big Steve Nagy. Nagy, who has had quite a run here in his previous appearances. He defeated Stan Gifford of Chicago, Billy Myers of Los Angeles, Mike Krasnowski of Miami, Lou Franz of Louisville. He's there. He leaves the 7-pin just like his opponent. In 4 matches, Nagy averaging 218 per game. He has won 11 of the 12 games. His winnings now at $4,800. His totals have been 651, 675, 637, and 647. At the 7-pin, look out! Well, a groan from the crowd as Nagy gave that one quite a twist, and the ball almost ended up in the channel, shall we call it. Steve Nagy, born in Schoaf, Pennsylvania, gained quite a national reputation in Cleveland. Spent a couple of 3 years in Detroit, now bowling out of St. Louis. He still resides in Detroit, incidentally. Throws, there, he's got it. So Steve Nagy gets the first strike of the match, and the buzzer steps in on the right side. A very colorful performer. Buzz checks in at about 139 pounds. Buzz born actually in Altman, Ohio. Developed as one of the great stars in Akron, then, of course, to Cleveland, and then to Detroit in 1946, to St. Louis in 57. He was there, he carried. Both of these great stars, who certainly need very little introduction, but for the benefit of you folks who might be watching championship bowling and these two great stars for the first time, they're two of the most colorful men in the business, and their careers strike quite a parallel. They both started as pin boys. They're both practically scratch golfers. Fazio here won some amateur titles in Akron, Ohio, some years ago. He throws, tries for two, too high, 3-6. Buzz Fazio, a member of the 1958 American Bowling Congress team champions, the captain, incidentally, of that team, and the captain of the 1958 National Match Game Team Champions, two of the most coveted titles in the business. 3-6, Fazio goes right, he converts. Steve Nagy now, with a chance to take the lead for the first time. Steve has won the first game in every one of his 4 previous matches. Nagy throws, he's on one, he is there, he has the double. So Big Steve, who has rolled 27 perfect scores in his career, one of them on championship bowling in a previous appearance. Fazio has rolled 25 perfect scores. So these boys have been going along year in and year out, matching their feats, more or less. Nagy has 4 sanctioned 300s. Fazio has 5. He's there. He's got 3 in a row. And Big Steve Nagy now has taken a 20-pin lead as Fazio steps up in the 4th frame. Now, we may, throughout this 3-game match, occasionally say Fazio. We may say Fazio. It's only because we just forget which is which. The buzzer throws, hurry. He's there, he leaves the 10-pin. So Fazio, unable to get started here, there was a beautiful hit. Left a 7-pin in the first frame, a good mixer. Followed with a strike, then went too high. That one was right back in the 1-3 pocket. When you ask Buzz which is correct, Fazio or Fazio, he says, well, say it either way, just spell it right. But he thinks Fazio is correct. Around the Motor City over the years, in Detroit, most of his friends actually called him Fazio. That's the pronunciation we'll try to stick to. So at the end of 4, we have Fazio 59 spare. Nagy works on 3 strikes. Hurry up. He gets there, and he still is looking for his first strike, the 8-pin. Buzzer at the 8, he has that. So Fazio, 1 strike, 2nd frame, he's lost a couple of good ones, a couple of shakers, and a solid 10 as Big Steve, now with a chance to add 20 more pins to his margin. We're in the 5th. Nagy throws too high, and he leaves a wide open split, the 6-7. So Steve, with a great opportunity to pile up quite a margin here early in game number 1 on championship bowling from Coral Gables, Florida, is stopped here with a wide open split. The idea here, of course, is to slide the 6-pin over to the 7. He will throw it out, and watch it too much. The 6-pin, and Nagy is open in the 5th. So it's 106 for Nagy with his split in the 5th. Fazio is 78 with a spare in the 5th. Nagy now moving to the left side after 3 in a row. A wide open frame. He has a lead of about 8 pins. Got to hurry. He gets there, and he gets the action that he wants. So Steve starts over. After stopping in the 5th, he has his strike, and here is the buzzer, who has been around the pocket and has carried 1 strike in 5 frames. Hurry up. He gets there, and he finally shakes him around and gets the strike that he wanted. Buzz Fazio. Now, we've mentioned over the weeks about the types of bowling balls that some of these great stars throw and their own ideas as to various grips. Here's a fella who certainly does not have a very large hand, but to give you an idea of the span in Fazio's fingertip ball, he has a 4 7/8 and 5 1/4 inch span. Too high, 7/10 snake eyes. So the buzzer is just about getting his 2 fingers in those holes. Probably not more than 1 inch at the most. But he has mastered the release of that ball, and believe me, it's not easy. The tendency is always to overturn or to be on top of the ball. He's throwing right at it, hoping something might happen, but it doesn't. Boys like to drill one of those pins into the cushion, hoping it may bounce back and make the so-called impossible shot. So Fazio now is 126 in the 7th. Here's Nagy on a strike. He throws. He's there. He's got the double. So Nagy did not make the same mistake twice. He was right in the middle there in the 5th frame. Got the 6-7. He's open. Now the double, of course, gives him the chance to take a 40-pin lead here at the end of 7. Here he comes. He's there. So Steve, who caught a triple in the first 4 frames and then stopped with a wide-open split, has picked it up again with 3 more in a row. So Steve has 2 triples. Fazio, 2 single strikes. Here's the buzzer in the 8th frame. First game. Steve Nagy making his 5th consecutive appearance. Buzzer's got it. The 10-pin hanging there. The 6-pin just getting a piece of it. So the buzzer steps in. One of the most popular members of the Brunswick Advisory Staff of Champions. Takes 5 steps, weighing 139 pounds, which proves you certainly don't have to be a big fella to become a master. And he is one of the masters. Here he throws. He's there. He's got the double. So Fazio with the first double here in the first game, and he waited until the 9th frame to get it. And here is Steve Nagy, working on a 40-pin advantage and working on 3 strikes in a row. Nagy, who has won the first game each week, follows the same pattern. He's in. He has another one. So this game is not going to hurt Nagy's 218 average. He has won 11, lost 1, averaging 218 for 12 games. He may get that average up to about 220, and his record will read 12 wins and 1 loss, 12 consecutive games, which is an all-time record on championship bowling. We're in the 10th. He throws. He's there. He's got another one. So Steve now can show 10 strikes this game. He left a 7-pin in the first frame on a good mixer, has thrown 1 ball out of the pocket, and he paid the full penalty for that, leaving the 6-7 split all the way for 256. So Fazio will really be under the gun in the 10th. The buzzer's got to get 2 of them. 1 at least. We'll see if he needs 2 to hold the lead. Never get there. He'll never get there. The 1, 2, and the 8. Steve did not lift that one. It got away from him before he actually wanted it to. The second ball that has not been in the pocket. One has been on the nose, one has been short. Steve will settle for 243 with this conversion. And a total of 8 strikes. Look out. He's got it. So Nagy off to a flying start here again this week. 243. And that should raise his average 2 pins. Here's the buzzer now with a chance to pick up 10 pins, actually. Nagy only got 1. Fazio can get 2, and he's got to hurry. He'll never get there. He'll never make it. He missed a head pin, the 1-2. So Buzz has lost, actually, 10 more pins. Nagy got the first one. And the buzzer will be under 200. Buzz was the 1955 American Bowling Congress Masters champion. He has those 2 wins. The full count will give him 194. The Buzzer's probably traveled a few million miles for the Brunswick organization. He's toured Europe, Japan, Hawaii. Makes a tour of the West Coast every year. Quite popular out California way, as you folks out there certainly must realize. And we like him out in the Middle West, too. The buzzer in the 10th throws. He has the full count. And that's the one he wanted in the 10th frame. So the first game, Nagy, 243. Fazio, 194. We'll be back for game number 2 here on Championship Bowling in what could be a real thriller. So don't go away. Now this is Fred Wolf inviting you to look and listen to these interesting words.
Scores for the first game. Buzz Fazio, 194. Steve Nagy winning his 10th consecutive game, 243. Steve?
Well, you're piling up quite a record here, 10 games in a row. Well, it's going to end pretty soon, I know that.
You think it is?
Yeah.
Well, you've won $50 to get you on your way here, and your
Thank you.
5th consecutive appearance, Steve. Your winning's now $4,850. You don't mind if we keep track?
No.
I think we'll balance out. We're ready for the second game. You have a lead of 49 pins, but it's not enough against this fella. I'm sure that you know that.
I know that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about giving both boys a little encouragement here?
Steve Nagy, who now has that average up to approximately 220, he has won 10 in a row. He does not carry the 5-pin, the king pin. Going back in Nagy's previous appearances, he won the first 2 games from Stan Gifford of Chicago 5 weeks ago. He lost the last game, 185 to Gifford's 201. That's the last game that he has lost. He won 3 from Billy Myers of Los Angeles, 3 from Mike Prasnowski of Miami. 5-pin, he's got that. He won 3 last week from Lou Franz of Louisville, Kentucky, and he has won the first one from Buzz Fazio of St. Louis. He has a 49-pin lead. We're in the second game. His winnings, $4,850. And here is the little buzzer who will try to stop Nagy's string at 10. He's got the first strike. So the buzzer could possibly be off. He has the strike in the first frame. He trails by 49 pins. Buzz Fazio, who has 4 grandchildren. So we could call him Gramps. He has 1, he throws, he's there, he carries. So the buzzer now begins to grind them out as he has cut the margin down 10 pins. He has the double. Nagy has got to keep going. 49 pins, you can lose them in a hurry. when your opponent begins to string out the strikes, and Big Steve steps in on the right side. He throws there. He's got it. Steve Nagy checking in at about 230 pounds. He has almost 100 pounds on his opponent. Steve has won 3 American Bowling Congress titles. He set an all-time doubles record with his partner Johnny Clares in Milwaukee in 1952. They totaled 1453. He won the all events the same year, 2065. He throws, he's there, he's got it. Well, Steve not giving too much ground, and the buzzer now has got to get another strike. Nagy has his double, but he started with a spare. Fazio has started with a double, and the buzzer rubbing the sole of his left shoe to get a little dust on his right hand to absorb some of the perspiration, and of course to give him the feel that he wants in that fingertip ball. Man, he just stretches those fingers out as far as they can go, and he's too high, and he has the 310, the baby split. Buzz has accomplished something very unusual. He has 5 sanctioned 300 scores, and 2 of them happened on the same day, 3 years apart. November 28, 54, November 28, 57. He's got that spare, and he had to have it because Nagy actually could have taken the lead had Buzz gone past that one. So the buzzer, converting the baby split in the third, has 48 spare. Nagy is on 2. We can remember back in 1955 when Fazio rolled 802 for 3 games on television in Detroit, Michigan. He's there again, little high, but he got the 4-7 out of there. A nice break for Fazio. It looked a bit too high. And here is Big Steve working on 2. He has a lead of about 50 pins. We're reaching halfway in this one. 2 of the greatest stars in the business. Steve Nagy throws it out, and here it comes. He's got it. So Nagy piles them on. He now has over 50 pins to work on. At the end of 4, Nagy is spare. He works on 3. We'll fill in the 30s. That gives him 50 in a double. Fazio is 68 in the third with a strike. Going in the 4th. And Nagy moves to the left. That 4-pin to fall. It's still on the pin deck, and the Brunswick automatic pin setter goes to work and gets those Brunswick red crowns back in the pit, and the buzzer will step up on the right side, and he's got to have another one. So Steve, who started the first game with a spare and a triple, has started the second game with a spare and a 4-timer. Fazio in the 5th on a strike. He's got to have it. He goes there. He leaves the 4-pin, actually moving it off spot. And we'll watch that wiggle be put right back when the Brunswick automatic pin setter comes down. And there it is. That pin's about possibly a ½ inch to the right, off spot, and that's exactly where it has been put back to. So the buzzer has missed the right side. 310, he was on the nose, 4-pin. He's just a bit concerned. He threw that one practically overhand, threw a lot of speed for no reason, and just because he thought he'd loosen up a little bit probably. So at the end of 5, it's Fazio, 88 spare. Nagy works on 4 in a row from the first frame. The buzzer now on the left side, trailing by some 30 pins. Hurry, hurry. He doesn't make it. He has the 2, 4, 5, 8, the bucket. This one, of course, is troublesome for almost anyone. In the audience, sitting in the front row, directly behind the bowlers, is Mrs. Fazio and one of Buzz's very cute grandchildren. At the 2, 4, 5, 8, the buzzer has the spare. Nice shot. Buzz lost 6 pins and counts, of course, or correction, 4 pins and counts. He's lost 6 through the first 5 frames. Here is Nagy, who is working on 4 in a row, has not lost any pins in counts up to this one, and he's not going to lose many here. 10 pins. Oh, that in there. So Nagy is stopped after 4, and brother, he had that one in there. That was solid. So it's a life for Fazio. Nagy has 25 more pins here through the first 5 frames with this conversion. He won the first game by 49. So he has about 74 pins to take him through the last half. Think he's got enough? Nagy converts. Nagy also on his way. Every game that he can win here is certainly a new record in the record books of championship bowling. He has won 10 games in a row, averaging 220 over the route under real match game conditions here in Coral Gables, Florida. Gotta hurry. He doesn't get there, and he has the 5-pin all alone. Gets a break, doesn't have a tough spare, and he gets a 9-pin count. Steve, back in 1955, had 29 straight strikes in a match game. 2 300s in a row. It was in a 5-game match. Try that on your piano. 5-pin, he's got it. So at the end of 7, Nagy is 148 with a spare in the 7th. The buzzer comes up in the 7th frame with 104 in the 5th and a spare in the 6th. So Fazio, trailing here by 24 more pins. He lost the first one by 49, has got to go in the last half. He's got to hurry. He gets there. Well, that's the type of ball that has made this fella famous. He can really tear him apart. Coming in thin, he now has a strike to work on. He trails by 24 pins. He has the advantage with his strike in the 7th. Nagy is working on a spare. Fazio's best league average for the entire season in Detroit, 1955. In the Detroit Major, he averaged 221 for 96 games. Hurry! He doesn't get there. He missed the head pin, the 1-2-4. Buzz likes to tell you how he got started in this game. Of course, he started as a pin setter in Akron, and he had to make every nickel he could possibly make. He didn't think about throwing a ball for quite a while. 1-2-4. He said he finally got the itch and bowled the game and shot 86. He thought it was pretty easy, so he bowled another game. 2-15. That's a true story. Nagy ready. Nagy in the 8th, throws right in the middle, and he has the 6-10. Almost the 6-7-10. Steve getting that one up there a little too much. Had a good lift on it, but the buzzer unable to take advantage of his strike. The margin is still 22 pins here in the second game of 3. 2 of the great champions in this great sport, Steve Nagy, Buzz Fazio. 6-10 cross alley, look out. He's got it. Well, Steve knew that he did not throw that one where he wanted to throw it. He tried to cover the 2 pins, obviously, as we keep telling you. That's where they're trying to throw. The best way to knock down pins is to hit them all with a ball if you can. But, of course, you have that advantage if your ball does hook away and it hooks far enough. You're not going to chop it or pick the cherry. The 6 will hit the 10. We're in the 9th, 166 and a spare for Nagy. He's too high again. He has the 4-7. So going into the 9th frame, Fazio 44 spare, Nagy was 66 spare, and Steve did not get a strike in the 9th. His 220 average is safe at the moment. If he converts this one and fills the 10th frame, he'll be right around 220. Still has a chance for 230. And it means that he has won his 11th consecutive game. He's got the spare. Although that is not definite, of course, because as we look at the buzzer score here, Fazio is still potential 224. That would force Nagy to get a strike and a spare to tie. So Fazio needs this one. And he's too high. Right in the middle, the 610. So that practically puts Mr. Nagy home free, 11 straight. Cross alley. Notice how far to the left Fazio gets. He covers both pins. And he has 162 in the 8th with a spare in the 9th. The margin here in the second game right now is 22 pins. Both boys are on spares. Now, if the buzzer can go all the way, he'll have 212. That would force Nagy to mark. There's one. Buzz Fazio, who has a favorite event like a lot of the boys, he has won the National Match Game Doubles title 3 times. He won it in 51, 52, and 54. Named on the All-American first team 4 straight years. Trying for the double. He's there. He's got it. And he needs every pin he can get here, because if he gets 8 or 9, it would put him down to 210 or 211. That would give Nagy actually a chance to win the game without a mark. But if he gets the full count for 212, Nagy will have to get a 9-pin count. And if he misses it, he would tie. The mark, of course, will wrap it up. Buzz is too high. He counts 9 for 211. 211. So Nagy now needs a good count. Actually, he'll need 9 pins on his first ball. Then he could miss it and still win by 1 pin. If he leaves 2, a wide-open split, this game could end in a tie. Nagy establishing history on championship bowling. He has won 10 straight games. He needs a mark to make it for sure, to make it 11. He's on the nose, and he breaks it up, and he has nothing but 6 pins. Boy, he got a break on that one. Now, had he left the 4-6, and that's what it looked like, we'd have had a tie game. So Fazio getting closer. Spare by Nagy gives him possible 223. That would add about 12 more pins to his margin. So Steve will have around 60 pins to carry with him into the 3rd and final game to make it 5 wins in a row. Do you think that he has enough? He's got a tough customer in Buzz Fazio. Full count 223, which will keep Nagy's average at 220 for now. 14 games. Gotta hurry, gotta hurry. He's got it. Full count. So the second game, Nagy 223, Buzz Fazio 211. The big game to follow, the 3rd game, total pins, of course, decides the winner. This is Championship Bowling from Coral Gables, Florida. This is Fred Wolf inviting you to give some attention to this message.
Scores for the second game, Buzz Fazio 211. It's not enough. Steve Nagy with 223. Steve, this is a habit, boy. There's another $75, Steve, and as you know, every game that you win here, you're establishing history on championship bowling. You have now won 11 consecutive games. Did you realize that?
No.
You're averaging still 220.
Still 220.
Going to make it 12 in a row?
Oh, I should try.
You're going to try. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd game, something is liable to happen. Let's give them a little help, and we'll see what'll happen.
Buzz Fazio Now the man who stands between Steve Nagy and 12 consecutive games and 5 successful appearances, and he starts with a strike again. The buzzer got away with a double last game, but couldn't do much after that. He finished with a double for 211. The margin is 61 pins. Nagy's winnings are now $4,925. And, of course, he has 61 pins to hang on to win another 1,000. Here he comes. He's too high. He leaves nothing but the 7-pin. Steve was the winner of the Detroit News Automobile in 1951, a very rich event in the Motor City. He's won just about everything you can win, actually, over the years. He was the 1955 National Individual Match Game Champion, named Bowler of the Year twice by the Bowling Writers Association. Converts first rank. So Nagy now will move to the left. As you know, the boys bowl on both alleys, both lanes. The opponent, of course, remains on the player's bench. Each man takes 2 turns, and each game is started on the left side, which is the odd alley. And we now are in the second frame for Steve Nagy. He has won 11 games in a row. Hurry, he's up there. He's got it. Oh, 4-pin. Got a lot of action, but the 4-pin was missed. That was a 2-pin that sailed right between the 4 and the 7. So Fazio in the driver's seat here to start chopping away at 61 pins. He's got the 4-pin. So it's the same story that we have seen here for the past 5 weeks. Nagy's got them. His opponent has got to get them. And, of course, that's Fazio's job as we go into the second frame. He'll never get a strike there. He's right in the middle, and he has the 6-pin. And the buzzer having trouble with his footwork. His slide not the way he wants it. He did not do a thing with his strike, so the margin now will be 60 pins with 8 frames to go. He's got the spare in the second frame. Out in Ogden, Utah, certainly Fazio is quite a name, because in 1956 and again in 1957, Fazio won the Kossoff Singles Endurance Championship. The boys bowl 40 straight games without stopping. Takes about 13 hours. And the grandpa here won it twice. Like that. Buzz had one of those coming. He had practically the whole back row up there, the 7-10, the last 2 that we got to look at, and he has the strike in the third, which should give him some life. Here is Nagy in the third. Left a 7-pin and a 4-pin. He throws. He's there. He's got it. So the big fella from St. Louis begins to bear down now here to try to make it 12 games in a row. Steve averaging 220. For now 14 games. The last time he lost the game was against Stan Gifford of Chicago 5 weeks ago, when he lost the third game, one of the few times that he was under 200. We're in the fourth. On a strike. Nagy throws. He carries. So Nagy now with 39 works on 2. Fazio is 40. In the second, he has a strike in the third, and of course he's got to have this one to stay with his opponent. He still trails by 60 pins. That's out there, and here it comes, here it comes. He does not carry the 10-pin, and Nagy has taken the lead for the first time in game number 3. In that endurance event that we talked about out in Ogden, Utah, the buzzer averaged 213 in 1957 for 40 games. How'd you like to bowl for 13 hours without stopping? Got it. boys have to eat between games or eat between frames if they get hungry. And I have a hunch somebody might get hungry, bowling 13 hours without stopping. To the left, Fazio on the spare, throws. He leaves the 10-pin this time. So the buzzer, who just had to get strikes, started with a strike, hit the nose, had the strike in the third, and has now left 2 10-pins in a row. The buzzer up there waiting for that Brunswick Mineralite ball as he slaps it. And he'll go cross-sally at the 10-pin. Got it. So the buzzer just a bit disappointed, and I'm sure that his grandchild and his wife probably will go along with that, as Big Steve Nagy, a very close friend of the buzzers, steps up in the 5th. On 2 throws, he's there. He's got it. So the big fella, Steve Nagy now, with 3 in a row. 5th frame, he is 69 with a double. Fazio is 79 in the 4th with a spare in the 5th. Nagy now moving to the left, working on a triple. And Nagy's pattern here much the same in each game. He gets that string of strikes early. He's got that one. So Steve Nagy has practically wrapped up his 5th consecutive victory here on championship bowling. The question is now, can he still win the last game to make it 12 in a row? Here's the buzzer. The hard luck kid of this match. He throws it out. It comes back. It's there. He carries. Look at that. So Fazio could very well be sitting on 4 strikes in a row. 2 10-pins between 2 strikes. Buzz won the Michigan State Match Game Singles Championships. Quite an event. He won it twice. He won it in 48 and again in 52. He's held a lot of titles around Michigan. He throws. He's there. He's got it. He knew he had that one where he wanted it. So the buzzer finally gets the double and goes to work on Mr. Steve Nagy to try to stop this string of victories that has reached 11 games in a row. Nagy on the right, on 4. He throws. He comes. He's there. 5 in a row. And Steve Nagy knocking on the door that is numbered 700. He has 129 in the 5th. Working on 2. Actually has 5 in a row. We fill in the 30s so that you can follow the match. He has a lead of 30 pins in the 5th. Both boys on 2. He's a little high. 4-7. Steve knew he gave that one the lift, or as the boys say around here, he poured a little too much juice to that one. Too much lift, and he was high. Luckily broke up the 4-7-10. He has the 4-7. Steve needs 234 for 700. All he has to do is mark out, get good counts. 4-7, he has the spare. Steve hasn't had a 700 total in his 5-week run. He's been quite consistent. 675 has been his high, 637 has been his low, and the buzzer now moves in the 8th, working on 2. Chance to pick up 20 pins. Throws it out. It comes back. It's there. He carries the 4-7. A little high, but certainly an active ball, and the buzzer has the first triple that he's been able to turn in here in 3 games. The first game, buzzer had a double. He caught it in the 8th and 9th for 194. Second game, he started with a double and finished with a double. This game, he had strike, spare, strike, 2 10-pins, now a triple. He tries for 4. We're in the 9th. Well, Fazio is going to make Mr. Nagy work to win his 12th consecutive game. The buzzer now only trailing by about 8 pins. Nagy in the 9th. Nagy throws. He is there. He's got it. A big strike. strike in the 9th frame, so the boys will go into the 10th frame. Nagy is 197 strike. Fazio is potential 189 strike. So Nagy has 8 pins to work on. He will bowl out first. 2 strikes will shut out Fazio and give Nagy his 12th consecutive win. 1 strike will force the buzzer to get 2. No strikes. He's got 1. So we'll forget that. So Nagy, with this strike, can shut the door in Fazio's face. A clean sweep, 12 games in a row, and this 250 game will bring that average up to about 222 or possibly 223. What a performance. 5 consecutive wins, and Steve Nagy will be back for his 6th appearance next week on Championship Bowling in Coral Gables, Florida, and Fazio has a chance to win the 3rd game. A 4-pin. 246, which will give Nagy 712. Now the buzzer will need 2 strikes and 8 pins for 247. $712. And Steve Nagy's winnings now right around. Let's watch Buzzer. He's there. Buzzer's got the first one. So Fazio needs this strike to win the 3rd game and stop Nagy's string at 11. He needs this one, of course, and 8 pins. So this will be the tough one. Fazio just getting in here a bit too late. He's working on 5 strikes in a row. 189 in the 8th. This strike and 8 pins to win the 3rd game. He's there. He does not carry the 10 pin, and Mr. Nagy makes it 12 in a row. Buzz Fazio in the pocket here all the way, with one exception. He was high in the 2nd frame. Following that, he had a strike, 2 10 pins, 5 in a row, and his 3rd 10 pin of this game for 238. So in the 3rd game, Steve Nagy winning his 12th consecutive game with 246, Fazio 238. Now we'll have a word with these 2 great champions and the final results, and a word on next week's challenger here on Championship Bowling in Coral Gables, Florida. Fred Wolf now inviting you to give some attention to this message. The final results: Buzz Fazio 194, 211, and 238. The total is 643. For Steve Nagy, who has now won 12 consecutive games, 243, 223, and 246 for a total of 712. Ladies and gentlemen, that is quite a performance. Let's give him a nice hand. See? Buzz will take care of the business first here. $300. Loser's share. I hate to put it that way. This fellow just seems to be too tough.
He's bowling real well, Freddie.
Well, that's a fine tribute, too. You're a very good friend, too.
Thank you, Captain.
Steve, there's another $100. There's a check for another $1,000. Your winnings now have, well, they're right up around $7,000, I think. $6,925 to be exact.
Wow.
You can handle it all right?
A little bit of income tax, and then I'll be all right.
Steve, how do you account for a fellow of Buzz's caliber here not giving you more competition? You're not that much better than he is, are you?
Well, he was practicing all week, and he was trying it from the outside on that 23 alley, and he was hitting it pretty good. And you can see the first two frames, he was too deep, so naturally he moved over to the inside angle that I've been using. And, well, you got to get grooved in from there. So if you go out just a little bit, you're outside, and if you're in, you're in too deep. And an alley like that can throw you, and it'll turn around, and the other alley throw you off on the other alley, too. So I think just got tangled up. But I got a desourizer for his ball.
A what?
to desourize the ball. You know, sometimes a ball is sour, see? And then we desour it, see?
You desour it.
Yeah, I think it's best because we're going to be going on a road now, and I like to do it now while I got a chance so Buzz won't have no trouble on it the next time.
Oh, you want to help him out so that his ball won't be sour. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Desourize?
Desour, yeah. You hold the ball here.
Yes.
See, just like that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's up a little higher, like that. See, and, well, you just hold the pail. You see, you put this in there. There's a little bit of water in the ball.
I see.
Just hold it right over here, Bob.
You sure there's water in the ball?
You shake the ball like that, see?
There is one?
Then you open the thing, see?
Oh, I see.
No wonder, Bud.
Well, I'll say that...
That's all right.
There you are. Thank you very much, Steve. I'm sure that the Buzzer will be in good shape from here on. Buzz, good luck to you. A handshake. They're real good friends, but it looks like Mr. Nagy's going to be here again next week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a great hand. Two great competitors. Well, they just don't come any better than these two fellas. And as we mentioned now, Steve Nagy establishing history here on Championship Bowling every time that he wins a game. He has won 12 consecutive games. He is averaging 221.7 for 15 games. He will be back for his 6th consecutive week. Now, in 15 games, he's won 14, and he has lost 1. And as we mentioned, the only game that he has lost has been to Stan Gifford of Chicago. So it's quite a record. We'll repeat the scores here again this week. Buzz Fazio, 643. Steve Nagy, 712. Next week, Steve Nagy will be back. His opponent from Detroit, Freddie Bujak. So until...